Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another tarot tea time. This is a highly, highly, highly requested video. And I just want to thank everybody who made this request. This is a Shawn Mendes Camila Cabello update. So I wanted to take a little bit of a different path because we've looked at their birth charts on this channel. We have done readings when they first got together, when they broke up. I mean, we have been on the journey, haven't we, you guys? But you guys want an update, and you've been asking also about like twin flames, soulmate connections. So here is what we're gonna do. We are gonna spill the tea. I am using this very beat up book that I use all the time. It is such a good book called Jan Spiller Cosmic Love. If you guys have any interest in like past life, love relationship stuff, highly recommend this book. Basically, this book allows you to take two birth charts. We look at the past life connections. We look at how the birth charts interact. And when we look at Sean and Camille's birth charts, it's pretty wild. So let's just dive right in. Then we're going to pull a couple of cards to see where they're at now. Let's go for it. There's so much to get into. Okay. This is their north node. Let's just start there. This is the energy that we are moving towards in this life. So all of our north nodes really tell us about what we're developing, what we need to move towards. And it's really helpful when we have other people around us who encourage us to move towards the north node energy, or also like have expertise in that area of life, or who inspire us to be that way. People who move us away from our north node can be really detrimental. So the really cool thing about them, and one of the reasons that I think they have such an initial spark, such a great understanding of one another that they've talked about, is that they both share a Virgo north node. And a Virgo north node is all about moving towards structure, moving towards really like embodying Virgo energy. And that is especially difficult for Camila because Camila is a Pisces sun. And Pisces and Virgo, they are definitely complementary opposites on the zodiac wheel. They're right across from each other. So while they can access one another's energy, it's just not natural. It's like really reaching for something that is opposite of you. She probably gets along really well with Virgos and feels inspired by them. But when she is trying to find that energy within herself, that's something that she is still developing. So sometimes that might feel a little bit difficult, even though it's really, really beneficial for her. And then with Sean as a Leo sun, that's how he like shows up naturally with Leo energy. Well, Leo and Virgo are right next to each other on the zodiac wheel, making them also just not super like easy to access one another's energy. So as we expected, this is the soul growth. This is what happens. So Sean is working on managing his Leo energy of like generosity, being the star of the show, creativity, feeling like he needs to be on stage all the time, and finding a way to still embody that while having the structure of Virgo energy placed around all that Leo energy. So, I mean, it's a lot to balance, right? But they're moving in the same direction, which I really like. The problem with this at times can be that since they are both developing the same skills, they both have the same blind spots. It's almost like they understand each other so well that because they have the same south node, that they have to be really careful that they don't get stuck. And it would be kind of hard for them to give each other advice when it comes to developing Virgo North Node energy because it's sort of like they both don't know yet. It's like sitting next to someone in class and you're both new in the class. You both never taken this class before. And so you can't ask each other for help. It's sort of like you're both learning side by side and you can support each other on that journey. You can study together, you can do all of the stuff that you would do with a classmate, but neither of you has all of the answers, so it's like, how do you manage that energy? Okay. Now, while you can have the same North Node with a lot of people, something that you don't have with everybody, and a big indicator of past life connections, a past life contract that they are fulfilling in this life. You can call it twin flames, you can call it soulmates. There is something going on between their two charts, and it's very major. So they don't have any North Node conjunctions. When you don't have any North Node conjunctions, but you have a lot of South Node conjunctions, it means that this may end up being one of those relationships that's just like a season because you're finishing old business and you're not necessarily creating new energy together because the North Node would be creating new energy together. So, just by looking at this, I feel intuitively that their relationship was always meant to only be for a season of life, a major season of growth in both of their lives. It's all about them overcoming certain past life tendencies and being triggered, basically. Camila's South Node is conjunct Sean's Jupiter. So the person with the planet, so that would be Shawn in this connection, Sean's Jupiter. Initially, you feel very drained in the energy of Jupiter. For Sean, he feels like his abundance is drained initially. Jupiter rules like luck, abundance, lightheartedness. I always think about like Santa Claus with a big bag of like gifts. And it's just like having fun, partying, being lighthearted, being joyful. Jupiter is just joyful and it expands everything it touches and you can dream big. Camila's influence in his life initially, it's just part of like the process of developing the energy, would make him feel very drained and less optimistic about life. For some reason, based on their past life, based on the way that they interact with each other, what they bring out in one another, it makes him feel a little bit down because it's draining the Jupiter energy of optimism. Okay. So, like feeling a little depressed, a little anxious. It's interesting, right? Because he has talked about that. Now, the whole purpose of triggering each other isn't just to trigger each other and make each other miserable. The reason that these interactions happen and that it plays out this way is because the planet person, so Sean, is meant to be triggered and to feel less optimistic so that he's challenged to dig within, dig deep, go within, and develop his own Jupiter energy and identity. And that's because he's meant to develop that part of his life. So it's almost like the irritation is what makes the pearl. So the South Node people, the people that activate your South Node, the soulmates that activate your South Node, it's actually very beneficial. And, you got to send them a big thank you because they irritated that part of your life so that you could grow and you could change and develop into the person that you're meant to be, to develop the skills that you're meant to have. So Sean started this journey of self discovery, went through a lot of anxiety, feeling depressed, all of that stuff that he talked about, even canceled his last tour. Well, I think it's in September that he'll be starting on like a new tour. I think he's going to be in a better headspace. I think he's really worked through a lot of this stuff. And I would say Camila was a big part of that journey for him. He had to develop his optimism. He had to go through like that dark night of the soul of not feeling optimistic, of not feeling lucky, of just really going there for whatever reason that was important for his development as a spirit. And so then he's done all that work. And now when he goes on tour, I think we're going to see a different side of him. I think he's going to be able to be more authentic, more genuinely excited about his life. Basically, it transforms that part of your life. So for Sean, it was all about his Jupiter energy and him needing to develop that in his life. Now for Camila, there's a lot. So Sean really affected Camila deeply. Not to say that Camila didn't affect Sean deeply. I think Camila affected Sean in a way that made him question himself and like his ability to have like hope and like almost like having to find real like grounded optimism versus living in kind of a fairy tale fantasy. For Camila, Sean's South Node is conjunct her sun, her Mercury, and her Venus. So who she is as a person, her identity, the sun sign, her sun energy, her ego, her Mercury, the way that she thinks, the way that she communicates and expresses herself, and Venus, the way that she loves and her beauty and her ability to feel attractive and sexy. I'm floored. Okay. Looking at their connections from this perspective, really, it's like an astrology in the wild moment that just blows me away because just hearing like and going back, looking at old interviews, I looked at some old interviews, I looked at some old articles. I've like re-recorded this like 3 times, by the way, because there's just so much. And I really want to focus on the past life astrology. So this is what I've settled on. Okay. But when I look back, it did seem to me like there was one point where they were both very unhappy. And initially, by the way, all of these South Node connections would be a very intense feeling of magnetism. These people were always destined to have a relationship, a romantic relationship, because of the South Node Venus connection. I would even venture to say that they were probably like lovers in a past life, because when there's a Venus South Node connection, that indicates a past romantic relationship, possibly one that was never able to like come to full fruition. And so there's unfinished business there. Sometimes it can be good, but when we look at everything holistically, I really feel like this was truly a major lesson that I think one day they'll look back at this, wait, like give it a few more years. They'll look back and genuinely be very, very grateful. I think they're still really close to it and they're still kind of working through this energy because it takes a little while to get through. So anyway, back to this. Um Camila's son, so her identity, I really do think that just looking at some of those old interviews, you know, there was one point where they were together and she did seem like really unhappy to me. Just I don't know, just her energy and um, right after the breakup, which obviously she was going through a breakup, so she was feeling sad. But now with this new album, she's dyed her hair blonde. She's like doing more pop kind of music. And I feel like we're going to see a different side of Camila that is more authentically her sun sign or her sun energy shining through because the sun is our ego. It's like how we express ourselves and like feeling confident in who we are. So I feel like her relationship with him and what she went through helped her to redefine who she is. It like triggered her basically to feel like maybe she lost herself in that relationship and then losing herself triggered her to find herself. And so we are going to see, I think, in the coming years, a more authentic expression of Camila, which I think is amazing. And then Mercury and Venus, Mercury is questioning the way that you think. So that can be, difficulty with just them having difficult conversations or not being able to communicate in a way that is like healthy and having to really self-reflect and think about the way that you communicate with other people, the way that you build strong, healthy relationships. It definitely made them grow, and especially Camila, because that was what she called in. She was the planet person is the one that wants to grow in that area, basically, on a soul level. So she really wanted to grow in her personal identity, her ability to communicate and to communicate like effectively and like connect with another person in a way that is healthy and Venus energy, she really wanted to feel um, confident in her unique beauty, in the way that she loves and what she wants from a romantic partner. So this this relationship was just a bunch of lessons all in that area of life. And if we look at their composite energy, which is, work, it's like the working it out together part of the chart. So it's like how they can work together and like what they trigger in each other, like, as a relationship, and I wanna read this to you guys. So, their composite north node, what they're moving towards, and when they're together, what's triggered. It's like the energy, it's like the third energy that's created when 2 people come together, they create, like, a whole new energy, and this is, like, what that new energy is, basically. So they have Virgo North Node in the second house, which means that they bring each other the gifts of material abundance. So, your purpose in each other's life is to help them make money, establish independent financial security, learn how to express the pleasure of the five senses, okay? And have confidence in your ability to point out money making potential for their talents and suggest other ways that they can increase their prosperity for more enjoyment of life. They're also good karma in terms of possessions. So I remember during the like Havana era and when they did that song together, that was so good. I feel like that was like kind of the height of like just like people loving them. And that was before they were officially together. There were just some rumors swirling, but it was spicy. Their song, I Know What You Did Last Summer, like, it was so good, and I definitely think that that showed them both the peak of their potential and just how successful they can be, and, um, I think that that will continue to inspire them for a long time to come. Also, second house enhances self-worth. It's about building greater self-reliance. So, with Virgo, being the second house Virgo composite, they both are meant to develop structure and routine as well as like healthy daily habits. Virgo is all about healing and like the body, exercising, like I said, just being balanced, really having a daily routine, a structure. Um, making sure you work on your anxiety, all that stuff is very Virgo. And when they do that, if they can have some structure, that is kind of the key to their abundance and success. And so they were learning about all of that together. And then it says here past life influences. Now, this is very interesting. It is likely that in a past incarnation, you two were soulmates who became get this, overly enmeshed at the expense of retaining a separate sense of self. You may also have used each other to better your own position at their expense or merged your power with this soul, then betrayed them in some way. If so, then on a subconscious level, you may be reticent to set them up again. So are careful to keep boundaries in place. As you demonstrate love by helping them increase their wealth, sense of self worth, and self sufficiency, any psychic scars you may have from past unions with this soul can be healed. If your south node also conjoins a planet in their eighth house, your connection is truly a matter of destiny, a contract to be fulfilled, and these influences will be felt much more strongly. Okay. Now, for them, they don't have the eighth house thing. So it's not as crazy intense as it could be, but they do have one, two, three, four planets conjunct. So it definitely still qualifies as a past life contract. And, I think based on like their interviews and stuff, it does sound like they could have been enmeshed. You know what I mean? Okay. Anyway, wild. Last but not least, the houses. So the houses tell you about your purpose in each other's lives, basically. So where their North Node falls in your house, like if you were doing this with someone, where that person's North Node falls in whichever house it falls in your chart, that is where they bring energy to you. It's like maybe the types of things you'll do together or what you'll be inspired to take action on or where you'll have realizations because this person's influence and vice versa. So it's like known as like the gifts that you bring to someone and the gifts someone brings to you based on the energy that you generate. So Camila's North Node falls in Sean's 12th house, meaning that Camila brings gifts, inspires, and connects Sean to his 12th house. Now, the reason this is very complicated is because the 12th house is associated with Pisces. And everyone with a Virgo North Node has a Pisces South Node. So she actually stimulates his like 12th house South Node energy a lot, which again, when you're talking about Jupiter, someone's the way they think, their ability to feel optimistic and abundant and their life philosophies. And we're talking about stimulating the 12th house, which, Pisces can rule substances, can rule dreams, the subconscious. The 12th house is also the house of undoing. It's also a house of seclusion. What happened when Sean and Camila broke up? Sean canceled the tour, went and worked on his mental health. I'm telling you guys, it is astrology in the wild. Like, it's so crazy. So, again, this can give you comfort because you see, like, wow, actually, this was meant to be. Like, this is all for the greater good. It's not just like something sad that happened, and it can kind of help you move through it, I think. Okay. And then gifts that Sean is bringing to Camila. So Sean's North Node falls in Camila's fifth house of creativity. So interesting because he also has a South Node conjunct her Sun, Mercury, and Venus. And as a performer, the fifth house is the house of fame and creativity, right? So he stimulates her house of fame and creativity. He puts her focus on fame and creativity. And the fact that like her identity, the way she thinks and communicates, even through like singing or writing, and Venus, like the way she looks, the way she dresses, the fact that he is conjunct all of that, it's very much like conjunct her identity and like her presentation. And when you bring the fifth house into it, that is really interesting. So I think that he helped to trigger a transformation in her. And like I said, I think we're at the beginning of her transformation. I don't even, ooh, I just got goosebumps. So confirmation. I think that they're actually both at the beginning of their transformation. I think that we are going to see Sean really build a strong inner sense of self and strengthen his mental health with that 12th house. And with Camila, I think we're going to see her really develop her identity as a creative person and really feel a new level of confidence in her creativity, her communication skills, and like in who she is. She comes across as very confident, but the fact that these placements are here tells me that maybe she's good at putting on like a show, obviously, but there are other things that she may still struggle with internally, like we all do, and definitely his presence triggered her to, transform and grow in those parts of her life. So ultimately, they're making each other stronger, even if they don't end up being together, and that is what soulmates do sometimes, right? And even twin flames. So, to close out this update, I hope that that was interesting for you guys. I know it gets pretty deep and kinda convoluted when you're going into, like, past life stuff and all that, but hopefully that made sense, and we are gonna pull a couple of cards to end this Shawn and Camila update. Okay. So let's just see what comes through. Let's just see what message comes through about the current state of their connection. See what we get. And this is all alleged for entertainment purposes only. Ooh, okay. The Three of Pentacles in reverse. So this is about a lack of collaboration on work things, which I think we kind of, yeah, that makes sense. So in the past, and I think that also kind of in both of their minds, they experienced so much success together, and part of their past life connection was about, we saw with that second house composite, it was a little bit about enmeshment with each other and maybe, using one another for fame or whatever. So I think that there's this struggle that they both kind of have deep down where there's this thought of like, wow, it would have been really cool if we could recreate, or it would be really fun if we could work together and maybe do a song together or recreate, you know, that I know what you did last summer, success, people would love it. So there's a little part of them both, I think, that wishes that things were different, but in reverse tells us that it's not going to happen. Like they're not going to collaborate, which we knew that. But if you were wondering, they're not going to collaborate, but it is something that crosses their mind because it just feels like a natural fit to them. It just feels natural to be able to collaborate with one another. And there's a part of them that kind of idealizes that experience, which makes sense. Okay. What else? Okay. I like this. Five of Cups in reverse. We're getting a lot of reversals here, which means they're overcoming old patterns, which I love that. I just got goosebumps confirmation because this tells us that the South Node contract basically was fulfilled. They both showed up and learned their soul lessons. Wow, very cool. Okay, so Five of Cups. This card is all about crying. This person's crying. This is about feeling sad, and on the Five of Cups card, it's like crying over what you don't have instead of seeing what you do have. So it's just a real feeling of disappointment about the way that things have turned out. It definitely describes the way that it would feel to have the type of connection that Shawn and Camila had. Because initially it feels really magnetic, like I said. The South Node connections and with Jupiter involved and Venus and Mercury and the sun, it's like it was an unavoidable thing. Like I said, like 2 magnets, they were always gonna collide, and so there were high hopes on both sides. So when it didn't work out, there was a lot of sadness. There was an inability to see what they actually did gain and learn from each other. It was more just in the feels of feeling sad, and both of them have Pisces South Node, so that again, they really challenge each other. They help each other grow, but dang, they challenge each other. In the reverse, this tells me that they both healed and they've overcome the feeling of disappointment, and they're both in a really positive place where they can actually look at the relationship and see what they've gained from it, which is real growth. Oh my gosh, like that is so cool. Okay, love that. And then let's just see if we get anything else. Oh my god, I love it. Good for them. This definitely went a different way than I expected. Oh, all the cards flying. Okay, yep, okay. Just gotta pick a couple of these off the floor. Okay, so we have the strength card. Love it. Also, Sean is a Leo. So this is about developing inner strength. They have definitely made each other stronger. Their connection has delivered a new level of inner strength. And especially for Sean, and with that 12th house of self undoing being triggered by his connection with Camila, this is talking about how he has developed an inner strength that was kind of like a challenge for him, and this relationship with Camila has helped him to find that strength within himself to become that highest version of, like, the best expression of, like, Leo energy, which is, like, the strong lion, and, I really like that. Wow. Yeah, very positive. We're gonna see a new version of him, which is just a more, like, self-actualized strong version of him when he comes out on this next tour, and, like, whatever album he puts out next, it's gonna be really, I think it's gonna be really good. Very strong album. I like it. I can't wait. Okay, anything else? I mean, for the Leo card to come through. Okay, Knight of Pentacles, amazing. This is for Camila. So, with her 5th house being highlighted by Shawn, oh my god, I love, by the way, I love how dead on this is with their charts. The 5th house is about, like, creativity, right? And self-expression and fame. And that can feel overwhelming, especially for someone with a Pisces South node, because Pisces South node energy can kind of, you can kind of get lost. It's like when you're moving towards the North node, you have to find the balance. And Virgo is about like discipline and moderation and earth sign energy, whereas Pisces is all water sign energy. So this is an earth sign card, the Knight of Pentacles. All the Pentacles cards represent earth sign energy because it's about what is tangible, what is grounded, money, finances, stability. So this is about her being in a place where she is more grounded. She has found a way to blend the creativity and the desire to be a performer with her authentic self in a way that is going to help her build this very solid career and financial abundance, continued financial abundance over time. This is that longevity of, just slow and steady wins the race. It's about not burning out. It's about not being too extreme in your emotions, with the Venus and the Mercury there. That this is very balanced. And what's interesting is both of these cards, you could argue, are about having stability in your life now that you didn't have before. So I think that they really helped to, first triggered and then help them to heal themselves. And I really love that. So that was my update on Shawn and Camila. I hope you guys like that. And I love you so much. Thank you for requesting. I love when you guys make your requests. And I can't wait to do another Tarot Tea Time video soon. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of it. And I'll see you on Sunday for an all new live stream. All right. Love you guys.